Hi, Lee Phillips. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I want to talk to you about what I would consider probably your first line of defense in the form of asset protection. If you are a homeowner, if you are a real estate investor, if you do anything, drive a car. What's the first line of asset protection defense? An insurance policy. Insurance isn't a bad deal. It's great. In fact, you may be able to take the money that you would put into your LLC or the legal stuff and move it over to the insurance and get better asset protection. The problem is insurance companies are here to screw you. Yeah, that's probably correct. It's their job to get out of paying the claim. So you have to make sure that your insurance policy covers what you think it's going to cover. And you can get into big time trouble with that relatively easily. The way people get into trouble with it is they don't buy the right policy. The agent describes something to them or sells them something that they didn't really want. It isn't what they thought they were getting covered. And that happens all of the time. And it's nearly impossible to read the contracts. I will give you that. So you have to maybe go to 2 or 3 insurance guys, describe the same policy, make sure they have the same company, and ask them what it does. Another way people get into trouble with insurance is they insure something different than they have. What do I mean by that? Well, I buy my piece of real estate, or I buy my car, and I get an insurance policy on the piece of real estate. Fine, I get an insurance policy on the car. Then I listen to the legal asset protection guys, which I am kind of, and they say, okay, put the piece of property into an LLC. That's asset protection. So you put the piece of property into the LLC, or you put the car into your company. Now that asset isn't what you insured. You insured an individual owned real estate investment piece of property. As soon as you put it into the LLC or the corporation or the limited partnership or whatever it is, that is now not an individual owned investment property. That is a company asset. And the funny thing is, the insurance companies figure that companies have higher liabilities than individuals and individual investors. If it's a personal car, it has a whole different liability to the insurance companies than a company car. They're not going to cover the company car if you have a personal insurance policy on it. They may not cover the investment piece of property if you have a personal investor policy on that piece of property and it's owned by an LLC. And we've talked about that trap before in other YouTube videos. The problem is you're going to pay 3 times as much for the car in the company as you do for the personal car when you pay the insurance premium. You're going to pay 3 times as much for the company-owned rental unit than you do the individually owned rental unit. So you have to be very careful that you are insuring what you want to insure, and you relay that to the insurance company. So insurance is your first line of defense. And I'm going to give it to you. 95+% of lawsuits and stuff in the automobile accident, in the tenant slip and fall, they're covered by the insurance policies. Spend the money. Beef up your insurance policy. And make sure that it covers what you think it's going to cover. This is Lee Phillips, just with a caveat about really your best asset protection, insurance.